Hello everyone. Welcome to ManageEngine Applications Manager free training series. We are in the final part of our season 4 free training series. In today's webinar, we will be discussing multi-cloud infrastructure monitoring. We will be discussing about how to track performance across your cloud applications, how to gain end-to-end visibility into your serverless application, how to track the critical KPIs across your container orchestration platform, and finally, how to address the performance issues and improve the efficiency in your cloud environment. In recent days, the technologies are booming and we are learning to adapt to them. According to the Gartner forecast report, we could see that 94% of enterprise users have started adopting to the cloud technologies. As per the current market value, $678 billion have been invested in the cloud, and the estimated value in 2025 is around $832 billion. Benefits like achieving better scalability, ROI, and faster deployments are driving organizations to adopt cloud and augment the customer count across all the regions in the globe. So, monitoring such crucial parts of the organization has turned into a business imperative, and that's where Applications Manager tool come in. We are now going to discuss how Application Manager helps you monitor your cloud technologies. We support public cloud platforms like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and Oracle Cloud, as well as Microsoft 365 applications. When I say these are all the monitor types, we support them as a bundle monitor type. So, for instance, if you take Microsoft Azure, we monitor all the top services which are hosted under Microsoft Azure. And the same applies for the rest of the cloud technologies too. As you might know, Applications Manager is an agentless monitoring tool that is used to provide and monitor entire complete infrastructure devices. This applies to cloud applications as well. So instead of using any agents, we use a certain API to fetch the information from the cloud resources. In case of Azure, we use an API to fetch the monitors from the Azure monitor, and we just act as the metric aggregator. We collect all the data and send it to the fault management, where we will analyze these data which we have collected from the cloud resources like Azure, AWS, or the Oracle Cloud. And here we make use of the native SDKs provided by the cloud vendors for data collection. Then this data will be analyzed and we'll check if there are any critical issues that's going on in your cloud service. This can be anything ranging from when a service is down, or if any utilization is high, that much that the critical level has far reached. We identify those traces in fault management and raise alarm to notify your teams. The data that we collect from the cloud resources will be sent to the database for analytics and reporting purposes. We will look at all the major AWS KPIs in a short while. Before that, let's take a look at the AWS services monitored in Applications Manager. In compute, we monitor EC2, Lambda, and EBS. So we have Elastic Compute, Elastic Block Store, along with Lambda. In containers, we have the Elastic Kubernetes Service and the Elastic Container Service. In database, we have Relational Database Service and DynamoDB. In load balancing, we have the Elastic Load Balancer. In storage, we have S3 buckets, and in notification, we have SNS, which is the simple notification service. In queue, we have simple queue service, and finally, we monitor billing under accounting. For every different service, we use a different set of APIs to fetch the information. When it comes to the Amazon Web Services, we fetch the information from Amazon CloudWatch via APIs and send it to the Applications Manager for monitoring. Moving on, we are going to take a look into Azure services. We monitor around 45 plus Azure services in Applications Manager, and in recent versions, we have introduced support for new services which covers most of the databases like Azure MariaDB, Azure MySQL, Azure Postgres, Azure SQL, and also in the network, we monitor the Azure Virtual Network. And in storage, we monitor both standard and premium storage accounts. In analytics, we monitor Azure Synapse, and in compute, we monitor the Azure Virtual Machine, Azure Functions, and Azure Scaleset. We monitor all the billings for the respective services which are also hosted under Azure. The client secret, and by which we'll discover the Azure infrastructure. The second mode is the Azure automation mode. So in the Azure automation account, you'll be having the user email ID and credential. And from there, we'll fetch the information with the help of PowerShell script. And in case you are using a secure environment, we support OAuth. So with the help of OAuth, you can fetch the information from Azure infrastructure, which will also be based on a rotational token access. So let me switch to the UI to show you how this is done. So this is the Applications Manager UI. Here you will go to this new monitor and add new monitor. So clicking on this, you'll be having like 150 different types of monitors, and we categorize each of them based on their functionalities, based on their monitor type information. So since we are going with the Azure now, click on Cloud Apps and you will be able to see this Microsoft Azure. And as we saw, we have three different modes. So AD application and service principal, OAuth, and then Azure organizational account. This is where we use the fetch the information via PowerShell. So since we are going with this AD application and service principal, so you can see that we must first log into the Azure account. So this is the Azure portal, and by clicking on this, we have this Microsoft Entra ID, and here you will be having such information where you'll be able to see the tenant ID, primary domain, etc. And by clicking on this ad, you will be able to register your particular application that you want to monitor. And here you can give any particular name for your application that you have been using. So for now, let's go with APM prod as the application name. And here you can select the supported account types, wherein you will be able to giving access to that particular, or you'll be seeing how this can be accessed. And as we can see, there is this account in this organizational directory only, and in any organizational directory where you will also have the multi-tenant access, etc. And you can click on this register, and that particular app will be registered here. And here you will be able to see the different credentials like application ID, the object ID, and the directory ID. So moving back to the UI, you can click on this add Microsoft Azure monitor and the display name. So since we were going with APM Pro, let's click on that, and the subscription ID. So since we are going with this discovery mode like AD application and service principal, you'll be able to click on this. You can select any of the supported services which you want to monitor, and you can give the directory ID, that is the one present here. So you can copy this, and you can also get this application ID which is right here. You can copy this, and you will also have this value called client secret value. So going to this Azure portal, you will be able to find that this is the application ID, tenant ID, but the client credentials will only be available if you click here. So click on this add a certificate or secret, and then here you will be able to add a new client secret. Here you can provide a description for this client secret. Let's go with APM prod for now. And you can select the expiry date ranging from anywhere from 3 months to 24 months, or even you can customize this expiry period, and you can click on add here. And here again, you can see the secret ID. You can copy this secret ID and you can post this here in the client secret value. And this is the child monitor discovery, where you will be giving the option for applications manager to work based on how you want the action to be taken. Whether you want to discover those services and unmanaged, or discover and monitor the particular service, or discover and monitor based on rejects, where you can provide a particular filter. If there are any specific services that you want to discover and monitor which are not listed here, or if you want to give a special attention to those services, you can add those here. And under advanced settings, you can also have this option called action on deleted resources. So this is where you will allow the applications manager to either continue alerting. So even if the resource is deleted from monitoring, if you want the applications manager to continue alerting you, or if you want to stop alerting, or if you want to unmanage only the resource from monitoring, or if you want to delete the resource altogether, this is your require based on your requirement. You can choose any of these options. So, and you can also filter the services that you want to stop discovering. And once you have added the monitor here, you can click on add monitor, and the particular data will be available here. So since this is Azure, let's go with this. And as you can see, we have all the options. So this overview will provide the entire history of the availability and then the performance. And you will also be able to see the discovered monitors. Like you will be able to see the analytics. Under analytics, you have the number of Synapse analytic workspaces, and under containers, the count of the containers that's there, and under the compute resources, the database resources that's been monitored, the security, and then the integration, the storage resources. So this will help you get an entire picture of your Azure environment. And if there are no services that are already listed under this, and if you really want to extend this monitoring to some other services, you just need to click on this please submit request, and you can request us. So coming back to this, under analytics, you will be able to see the Synapse workspaces. So you can see the resource group name, you will be able to see the location, and you can also see the provisioning state along with the health and the alarm if raised. Okay, so the configure alarm is nothing but you will be able to configure how the health and availability should be, and you can also choose to associate the thresholds. So once the threshold is associated, and if something is not going right according to what you have said, then Azure then applications manager will allow you for that. Under compute, you will be able to see the different services again. So you see the app service plan, the Azure app service, the web app, and then the functions. And here you will also be able to see the location and the status of the thing. And you'll also be able to see the virtual machines, and you can see the VM scale sets here. So if you see, we can select any particular virtual machine, for example, from here. And you can see the overall availability history for this for the past 6 hours, and here the performance history for the last 6 hours, which you can also you can go to this custom monitoring by today, or a day before, or a week before, etc. And you can also see the CPU utilization, the CPU credits. So the CPU credits that are consumed, the CPU credits that are remaining, etc. So to further drill down, you can also see the CPU data by read and write time, the idle time, the processor time, etc. And when it comes to memory, you can see the available memory, the used memory, and this is the available memory by percentage and the used swap memory. So this will help you further drill down to find if there are any errors, or if there is any particular slowness with your service and you don't know the exact reason. So this is for disk bytes, this is by read, and this is by write. And you can also see the data disk throughput, and you will also be able to see this classification by OS and data disk operations. So this is disk input and output latency, and then you can also see this metric by network. So the bandwidth that's consumed, the incoming and outgoing traffic, and this is by flows. And you can also see this information by configurations. So as you can see, the OS information is here, and you will also be able to see the network interface information, where you can see the network interface name and MAC address and the network security group ID, etc. So when we go back to this Azure services, so this is regarding the compute. So when it comes to the containers again, so you will be able to see the container apps, the container registries, the container instances, and then the Kubernetes clusters. So you will be able to find the creation time, even the running status, and then the provisioning state, whether it is succeeded or it is failed, etc. And then according to the container registries, you will be able to see their location, the SKU tier, and then you will be able to see the container instances, where you can find their OS type and then the provisioning state, and again health. So according to this Kubernetes cluster, you will be able to see the cluster location and then the cluster status and the health of the cluster. And as you can see, this red one would indicate that the cluster is not reliable enough or the health is critical. So by this, you'll be able to see also how many attribute it is depending on. So this is how applications manager will help you find each and every services availability and health. So when it comes to database, you have all these databases running, Cosmo DBs, and then you'll be having MariaDB servers, MySQL servers, and then PostgreSQL servers, and then Redis, etc. So you can see that the when it comes to the database, you can see the metrics by storage, and you can see the state, and you will also be able to see that by server type. So this is single and this is flexible, etc. And you will also be able to see the database usage. So as you can see, the total database size is 2, and you can see how much of it is used. So this actually indicates that there is a lot of storage that's still there, and thus it can function better. And when it comes to integration, you will be able to find the event hub clusters and the different types of integration services that runs under this. This is again for network, where you will be able to see the application gateways, the functions like connections, the DNS zones, and then the express route circuits, and then firewall, and then front door and CDN profiles. And you'll also be able to see the standard load balancer, basic load balancer, metrics, etc. So this is for private DNS zones, etc. And traffic manager profiles. So again, you have this virtual networks and then the virtual network gateways. So we have a lot of metrics that you can monitor your Azure services with. So this is for storage, and this is when it comes to the management part. So you can see the information by daily expenditure. So this will be helpful for billing or resource allocation. And then the top 10 costs by services, where you will be able to see how many services or what services have made the most contribution to the budget. And then the top 10 costs by resource groups, and then this is by region. So yeah. So, like Azure, Microsoft Azure, when it comes to Amazon, we also help you to monitor your Amazon services as well. So, you can go to this and click on Amazon, and you will be able to find the entire you know you can monitor the entire Amazon environment by availability history and then performance history again. And as you can see, these are the resources that comes under the Amazon Web Service, where you can see the container resources, integration resources, the database resources, storage resources, and network resources. So let's go to the compute, for example, and look at the different services that's running under here. So we have application load balancers, we have EC2 instances, elastic beanstalk environments, and gateway load balancers. Again, we have Lambda and network load balancers again. So we can select also, we can see the database functions, and here when you can also drill down to find how the database utilization, the CPU utilization is, and what is the available storage. As you can see, there is free storage, storage space of up to 95%, and you can see the available memory, the database connections, etc. So this is it. You have the entire view of your AWS environment as well. So now let's go to discuss about the Office 365. So in Microsoft Office 365, we monitor Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, and Microsoft Teams. We proactively monitor all the users and the license of the Office 365, and we monitor the how the functioning of these three services are, so that if any particular site goes down, we will get an alarm as notification alert. Excuse me. With the help of these, you can monitor all the endpoint connectivity. So on a daily basis, if you are going to monitor Microsoft 365, these are all the advantages that you will be able to get. So you can know the overall health and performance of Office 365 if your organization is relying on it so much, and you will also be able to monitor users and licenses. You can also monitor the Exchange Online servers and whatever the critical SharePoint metrics are, and you by monitoring each of these critical metrics, you will be able to find the issues and fix those issues proactively. So let me show you the UI part of the monitoring. So again, you will be going to this monitors, and under cloud apps you can have this Microsoft 365, and you can see you have this overall usage metric. Again, availability history, performance history. And you will also be able to find the user details and the license usage, as I already told you. So you have this unassigned license percentage, the consumed license percentage, etc. So you have this subscription that's it ready, and then you have the Microsoft service health details. So the number of service, their status, and what they help. You can also monitor alarms for these. So when we look to this is the entire use of the Microsoft Office 365 as a whole. As you can see, Microsoft 365, it has 196 active users, and you will also be able to find the inactive user count. You can see service-wise usage count, and as you can see, this green one denotes the active users. So Microsoft Teams has the number of active users high than the inactive users, and you can also see it by user details. So the active and inactive and the health of it. You can see the active applications users, what they are actually using your application for, and you can also see the application users across platforms and the group details. So when it comes to Exchange Online, these are the metrics you will be able to monitor. So under usage, you can the mailbox details, such as total number of users, active user, and inactive user. Here you can see the user mailboxes under each category. So how much they have sent, or how many users have prohibited, and email activities count. So how much email have been sent and how many have received, etc. And you see the users performing email activities. And here you also see the mailbox statistics, and this is about the number of items and total mailbox size. And so this is it about the Exchange Online. When it comes to the SharePoint Online, we will help you to monitor usage metrics such as site storage usage, the total storage used, and the sites usage, active sites, inactive sites, and the files usage, active files across sites, and then inactive files, and unique files by activity type, where this has been edited or what kind of activity has been happening across, and then users by activity type. So as you can see, this number of edits or views have been happening, and you can optimize your resources according to that. And you also have the sites and applications where you can see the storage quota and storage that's been used already, and based on that you can find how many resources you can free, etc., and what is the status of that site. When it comes to Microsoft Teams, we help you monitor the usage of it. So this metric will be based on the number of users based on device per day. So whether the application has been accessed via web or Android phone or iOS, etc. And this is again number of users based on device type. So you can optimize those based on these metrics, and you can also see the user count based on activity type. So you can see that the chat messages have been the second most used activity, and here you can see the activity count based on activity type. So again, you can see that the private chat messages are a lot and the calls have been more, and you can optimize according to that. So now let's get on to the next topic of this session on how to gain end-to-end visibility into your serverless application. Previously, we followed two types of architecture for developing an application. So, when it comes to monolithic architecture, it is an old school approach wherein a single application server will have multiple applications hosted. In case you want to patch a particular application, or if you want to restart a particular application, we might need to restart the complete application server. So, in order to overcome this scenario, we have adopted to the microservice architecture where each service will have its own microservice, so that if any changes are performed on a particular application, you can restart only that respective application through the microservice concept. Let's talk about how serverless monitoring is done with Amazon. For Amazon, we support monitoring AWS Lambda, and in Azure, we have Azure Functions. So if you have a code ready with you, you could simply deploy it on your Amazon Lambda or your functions. It will automatically manage the components, and you can choose the operating system you want or select specific components without manual allocation. So you just need to upload a code for execution, and this will provide a link for accessing your application. However, you need to ensure that your code works well in Amazon or Azure environment. This is where serverless monitoring works well. So here we have to enable the parameters in which the code needs to be deployed, and then you have to copy paste the code and click configure. Once you click on those configure, the serverless application will generate a link. So finally, you have to deploy the code alone in the Amazon AWS Lambda, and with that you can access the application. So let's see how AWS Lambda is being monitored in Applications Manager. So let's go to the monitors, and here you can go to compute, and then see you have this Lambda value here. So as you can see, we have a different overview of this. So we have this availability history and the performance history, and we have the invocations rate. So actual invocations failed, and then the throttle invocations, and the invocations rate is 75% success, so which means it is healthy and it is available. And this is concurrent executions. So you can see that the result concurrent execution is just 2, and provision concurrent execution is 6. And see, so this provision concurrency invocations is 10. And you can also find the duration. So you can see maximum duration, average durations. The results are better for your speed, and you can find the async delivery value. When you further down, you can find the configuration details for that particular Lambda. So as you can see the memory size, where the memory size is just 512 MB, and the deployed code size is 2 MB, and the timeout is 15 seconds. So you can also find the runtime, the program, and you can see the last modified time for this, and you can find the security groups and the subnet which this belongs to. So let's get on to the next topic, and this is going to be how to track the critical KPIs across your container orchestration platform. So when it comes to the container based monitoring and applications manager, we support the Docker, Kubernetes, and OpenShift. Containers allows your developers to create and deploy applications faster and more secure as well. And since they come with several benefits like taking up less storage and easy scalability, this has many more benefits to the organizations. But things can get a bit hectic when it comes to managing complex applications. So container monitoring is important to keep close eye on these things so you can identify any potential issues before they result in application crashes or slow performance. So here's why container monitoring is so important. You can catch problems early on to ensure availability and performance, and it will also help you spot containers that are guzzling up CPU or memory. That will allow for better resource allocation. And container monitoring will also help you keep track of everything efficiently, even with a massive operation. Now let's see how container-based monitoring is achieved in Applications Manager. So when it comes to the OpenShift, we support two methods by using the SSH mode of monitoring with REST API, and the other one is the Prometheus method. So when it comes to the SSH method, to start with, we make an SSH connection towards the OpenShift server. And from there, we will use the OCL command to get executed, and we fetch the information such as details, ports, containers, services, and jobs. And we also use the REST API mode along with this for container based environment that will have a huge information. In case we use only the SSH mode of monitoring for such platforms, it might get timed out. So in such cases, we fetch all the information along with the REST API to make it easier. For the second method, we use Prometheus integration. So once you integrate the Prometheus, you can export the monitors which are deployed on the Prometheus environment. So in the earlier version, we supported only the Prometheus integration with Tomcat, but we have extended this support for OpenShift engines as well. So, in case due to security reasons in your environment, you are not allowed to use SSH to fetch the OpenShift details like executing OCL commands, you can use this Prometheus integration where this will be collected from the Prometheus through the exposed Prometheus API without the need for SSH connection. So, let me take you to the UI to show how to discover this. So you can click on new monitor and add new monitor. And as you can see, we have this listed for all the cloud applications. And by clicking on this virtual, since we are going for OpenShift now, let's click on this. And you have this display name, the cluster host name or IP address, where you will enter the IP address. And you have the credential details here. And if you are already using the OpenShift, you are an existing one, then you can enter the OpenShift username and password and click on this monitor specific projects in case you don't want to monitor all of the projects, and you can either wish to include that particular project or exclude those, and enter in the project name and select the timeout here, the polling interval, and by clicking on add monitor, that particular project will be added. The other method that we use instead of SSH and REST API is the Prometheus method. And for this, you can go to reports. So in case we can shift, first I'll show you where you can find the OpenShift metrics. So you can go to monitors, and then under virtualization you have this OpenShift metrics, and by clicking on this you will be able to find the different details such as availability and performance history. And as you can see, we have the cluster usage details, where you can see the CPU usage is 7% and then 12. And you can also see the cluster details by pod count. So the pod utilization is only 22% as of now, so it's in a pretty good condition. The used pod count is 9, the maximum pod count is 40, and you find the drive nodes by used pod count. So these are projects that are available under OpenShift. So as you can see, these are the different projects. You can find the same details by different nodes. So you see the top 5 nodes by CPU details, and then you will also be able to see this by top 5 nodes by memory details. And you can see that this is the allocated CPU processor. So the CPU request is only 7% now, so allocatable memory is 15, and the memory request is only 12% as of now. You will also be see the pod details, so how much pods have been utilized so far. So this shows that the pod count is only 9, that's only been used. Allocatable is 40, so the pod utilization is only 20, which means it has a, a good time period for being healthy and available. And this is again the node details, where you will be able to find the internal IP address, the type, and the allocatable ephemeral storage. Then let's drill down to find the pod details. So you see the pod name and the pod application, and you can also see the pod type and the pod status. So this is the pod start time. So this is the time that's been created, and this is the time that's the pod has been started. And this will help you know how reliable it is. So as you can see, the top 10 pods by CPU details is here. This is by memory details, and you can see the pod project names, and then the number of containers, and the pod memory request percentage, etc. And this is again about the containers. So you see the top 5 containers by restart count. You can see the pod name for that particular container, and then the container status, the container restart count, and the container start time. So the this will help you correlate the values like start time to restart count, and you will be able to decipher how this has been how this can be optimized. So this is based on details, and this is details, application details, where you can see the design replica, the running, and the available one. And this is and persistent volume claims details. So also, since we already saw how to add this via SSH protocol, now we are going to see how this can be integrated using the Prometheus integration. So by moving to the build, you'll be able to find the Prometheus option under settings, and you can click on this add-on. So under product settings, you will be able to find the integrations and add-on settings, and here you can see the Prometheus. So by clicking on this plus sign, you can give the information such as display name, and you can also select the mode of data collection, whether it is through Prometheus exposed Prometheus API or curl through SSH. Since we are going with this now, let's go with this option, and you can enter in the Prometheus server details, and you can give the discovery specification. So this is very important, where you so since we are going with OpenShift now, as I told you, Prometheus API has been extended to support other virtualization platforms also, like Nginx and Kubernetes. So under OpenShift, you can you can mention the discovery options, whether you want to discover and monitor, or you just want to discover but you don't wish to monitor the particular project, or if you want to monitor only specific instances, or if you want to pause the discovery for now. And you can also tell the applications manager to make any or execute any actions in case the data is not available on the particular instances. So you can either mark that monitor as down, or you can unmanage the monitor altogether, or you can delete the monitor. So once you have provided these options, you can click on save, and that particular data will be saved. And okay, so we also have to announce that this by default will be available only for OpenShift environment from 4.5 version. So you just need to give the display name for these things, and you can save these options, and that will be monitored by Applications Manager. So now let's move on to the next topic on how to address performance issues and improve the efficiency in your cloud environment. So in the previous three topics, we have discussed monitoring the cloud, the container, and the serverless environment in Applications Manager. Now we are going to discuss a few things such as automating actions that are available in Applications Manager. So when it comes to cloud environment monitoring, we are monitoring the respective application and a few set of parameters. So whenever any service goes down or the threshold is violated, an alarm will be generated. And once the alarm is generated, we need to take certain action. In Applications Manager, you can specify what kind of actions the Applications Manager to take when any of these cases happen. So we can help you notify the alarm using any email action or SMS action. And we also provide you the integrations like Service Desk Plus or ServiceNow, and the ticket will be automatically logged to the respective ticketing portal in case any of these instances occur. So apart from that, in Applications Manager, we have a few automated actions that will help you reduce the manual work here. So one of the automated actions that is available for cloud is if any particular virtual machine is going down on your Azure platform, or if any EC2 instance goes down on your AWS environment, instead of expecting a manual effort from you, Applications Manager will take care of itself and the respective virtual machines that are going down in your Azure environment. And this can be applicable to the container platforms as well. So you can either choose to restart that particular functions or a container, and you can also start that particular container that are no longer used. So for example, if the memory goes high, and if you want to shut down a particular container or a virtual machine, you can just associate that particular action based on your requirement. When it comes to cloud, we just need to make sure that we are staying within the cost limit that is allocated by our manager. So Applications Manager will help you in this regard as well. Apart from just giving you, just helping you execute the actions based on any particular worst case scenarios, we also help you to track cloud costs periodically. So we will help you track those expenses in your Azure and AWS environment, and with the help of this you will be able to find if the allocated budget is going beyond a particular limit, and you can also get notified from Applications Manager for the respective services. Applications Manager will also help you to prevent service outages with threshold configuration. So, if you have a specific attribute when you are confident in setting a threshold, you can configure either a static threshold or an anomaly profile. So, this allows for automatic alerts when utilization becomes high, or when a server goes down, or a value deviates from significantly from a previous data. Anomaly profiles, on the other hand, are particularly useful for identifying sudden spikes in memory usage or other metrics that can exceed normal fluctuation. For any attribute that is exceeding its allocated range in your cloud environment, you can either choose this anomaly or adaptive profile to trigger alerts. Next up, cloud application performance monitoring. So let me switch to the demo to show you the show you how our specialist would have shown you how APM insights in the second part of this free training series would have helped you a lot with that. And in continuation to that, we will be looking at how you can also monitor the end-to-end transactions performed by the users on your AWS Beanstalk with APM insights. So let's go into the APM insights to find how error mapping or error resolution is easier here. So let's go with this application for now. I'm clicking on this and I'll be able to see the overview here. So as you can see, this overview will contain response time broken by components, transaction list, exception count, etc. But for now, let's go with this transactions. So as you can see, these are the transactions that comes under that particular application, and you will be able to see the requests here, and we have zero errors, but the average response time for this can be higher than the provided average response time. And this will indicate when or how the application is being slow, and you will be able to find this traces where you can see how this application has been performing again based on external calls or exceptions, SQL, CPU time, etc. So further to drill this down, we can include the service path into our monitoring, see how each of these dependencies are working. So here you see the instance monitoring. You can see that this is where it leads to. So the problem here is this, and you can see the three different classifications where this problem could be generated. So the best to automate for. So in case can also uh, this any dependencies and you want to be known, or if you want a particular instance to be restarted, or you need to automate that particular response, then you can click on this display name where you can provide a name for example cloud performance or anything of that sort, and select the monitor type, whether it is Amazon or Azure, and then you can select one action type where if that particular dependency is not working well, or if the health or the availability is going beyond the normal thresholds, then you can click on start instances or stop those particular instances and restart the instances. So, and you can also select the target instance or virtual machine. As you can see, we have three different formats here. So you can either select a monitor group or select any monitor all the instances, or you can also click on the specific instance where you will be able to monitor that, and you can provide a particular email ID to, and you can click on this execute action based on business hours, so where you will be able to configure if you want the particular action to be executed during your business hour or outside the business hour to streamline the management without making any impacts in the daily operations. So another part of this cloud performance monitoring, where you can help your organization or your team to stay inside their budget, is where you will be able to configure these actions for virtual mission actions as well. So you can select start VM or start or restart the particular VM, and you can also use Windows services action, but you will need a REST API to perform these actions, and you can also configure these actions for Windows services as well. So apart from this analytics part, apart from this reporting part, we also have the help, or if you have the option to report on particular the services availability, etc. So we have this cloud application reports where you can select a particular cloud and select an attribute, whether so any of these metrics you can monitor. So for example, I want to know the backup storage used in GB, then the particular for that particular Azure database or for the particular Azure instance environment, you will be able to see the top 10 Azure database. So since I opted for backup storage used in GB, This value shows me the minimum in GB, the maximum, and the average, and the 95th percentile. And I'll be able to see all those monitors. So this is how you will be able to conclude where the all the resources have been going, and you can also use this for capacity planning. So capacity planning report will help you find how that particular instance has been utilizing your environment. For example, let's go with the Azure Virtual Mission, and I'll be able to select the monitor group if anything is available. For now, let's go with the Azure Virtual Mission. So here I will be able to see the different virtual missions, Docker containers, and then virtual missions, etc. So if I want to know the undersized virtual missions, I can click on this and I will have all the undersized missions. So the undersized missions will be presented in the green, because green and in red formats. So this is where you will know how the virtual machines, cloud apps, or containers are being used. So as the name suggests, in the undersized missions will have utilization that exceeds their allocation. For example, say there is a low memory of 8 GB with a maximum of 5 applications deployed, then the CPU will constantly be at 100%, right? So on the other hand, oversized missions. So oversized virtual machines are where the ones that have sufficient memory, but the utilization is very less. So example, when you have an allocated memory of say 32 GB, but only one application is running, and if any user accesses the application, the CPU is only going to be around 10%. So currently this virtual machine is present, and this is not undersized. So this one is undersized and the others are oversized. So this will help you to allocate the memory accordingly based on the respective attitude. So we also have the forecast report. So the forecast report in Applications Manager is nothing but an ML based reporting. Here you will be able to find the disk utilization, for example, for the next 1 month. So this is the data for the past month, and this is the present, and this is the one that's been forecasted. So as you can see, the forecast by growth trend for 1 month, this is the growth for 1 month, and if it's 2 months, then you will have fifth and then Jan. So as you can see, the list goes on, and you can find the average, like what are the disk utilization that you can expect from 21st October. So this is the present 5th November, and then the 5th Jan. And so you can also forecast how much of the utilization is going to be, etc. As we are nearing the end of this session, we would like to introduce you to the new services we are offering with the latest version of Applications Manager. So you can monitor the performance, security, and responsiveness for these services and validate their reliability. So we have Amazon Elastic File System, CloudFront, Amazon NAT Gateway, and Route 53 Health Checks, and GLB, and then File Transfer Family, etc. So let's have a quick recap of today's session. In today's session, the first topic we discussed was how to monitor your cloud infrastructure proactively. We then discussed about the critical KPIs monitoring across your container orchestration platform. Lastly, we discussed how to identify performance bottlenecks using cloud environment monitoring. That is with APM Insight. You can monitor the performance, and we also have the capacity planning reporting, and you can generate any forecast reports as well. I would like to wrap up this 4-part training series and thank you all for being such a wonderful audience throughout. Thank you.